Say that no one can stand the star of this movie.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged. I truly do believe that.
And Disney decided to hire the most insufferable girl boss narcissist that exists on Earth, who hates Snow White, to play Snow White.
Excuse me, your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your...
Who is so truly, and I'll say this word, even though it's cringe to say toxic. And I mean that in terms of she was cancerous. She was toxic to anybody that may have been interested in this. As soon as you heard her talk about herself or this movie, you were no longer interested.
Remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarfs. Okay,
but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical
creatures. But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group. You just erased that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage. There's power of being on TV. There's power of television. And to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story. Don't change the characters.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
Someone who is as entitled as, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up and...
This is no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple. A wishing apple? You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
Oh, what has she done to you? Fear not. First love's kiss can break any curse.
You cannot deny that Rachel Zegler immediately, upon her casting, the first time she came out there and shat all over the original, told everyone how this was going to be a different Snow White and a modernized version of Snow White and all this bullshit. These are all things that completely and totally damaged, irreversibly damaged Snow White before it even had a chance at the box office.
There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable.
This is Rachel Zegler, who Disney decided would be brilliant in casting because, as Rachel Zegler says, her millions of fans will line up.
The winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope it's off the book we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. Go.
There's videos like this, thousands of them all across the internet, of 0 tickets being sold for Snow White. Here's another.
It sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans.
That
ever.
is sadder than when the original Snow.
South Park is reportedly gearing up for another episode aimed at Rachel Zegler, and this time, it's expected to hit even harder than the last.
Dude, Kenny, enough about Tammy's knockers. You sound like a white male trying to reestablish the patriarchy. Eric, it's okay. It's okay. replaced by a diverse woman. It wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy.
They've already taken a swing at her Snow White saga once, but the South Park writers clearly think there's still plenty left to mock, and audiences seem to agree. The upcoming sequel episode is set to revisit their infamous fictional film, Snow Woke. The reimagining. Only this time, they're doubling down on the chaos, controversy, and cultural cringe that's followed Zegler's media whirlwind. But the real blow isn't just the satire itself. It's that South Park is turning her into a recurring punchline. As Rachel continues to face brutal headlines, industry silence, and a tidal wave of fan backlash, becoming the centerpiece of another South Park roast is the last thing her team wanted.
Oh wow, Snow White flop. Who is surprised? You cast arguably the least genuine, most out of touch, and disliked person in her industry, and her industry is Hollywood. And the bad guy is Gal Gadot.
Basically, it's everything critics have been saying for months, just with South Park's signature sting. For Rachel, who's already been struggling to outrun a landslide of bad press, getting lampooned by one of TV's most iconic satirical juggernauts might be the most humiliating blow yet. And there's one key detail about Snow White that ties directly into Rachel Zegler's rumored firing spree. We've already touched on how Disney quietly removed her from multiple projects, including voiceover work for Toy Story. But to understand how it all unraveled, you have to rewind to what once looked like a Hollywood fairy tale. Rachel Zegler was supposed to be the next breakout star. After her critically acclaimed debut in West Side Story, she landed the coveted lead in Disney's live-action Snow White. It should have been her crowning moment, but the backlash didn't start with the film itself. It started with her. Almost overnight, Rachel's interviews became the center of attention, and not in a good way.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937. She's going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Instead of celebrating the legacy of Snow White, or showing genuine excitement about bringing the beloved character to life, Rachel Zegler's talking points took a very different turn. In one now viral clip, she claimed the prince in the 1937 classic literally stalks Snow White and dismissed the entire story as outdated and weird. The backlash was swift and brutal. To countless fans, it didn't sound like a modern, thoughtful take. It sounded like she was mocking the very foundation of the fairy tale she was supposed to honor.
Snow White gets her name not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know Rachel Zegler would be a miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving a snowstorm.
That audiences walk away from this film with an understanding of the true meaning of fairness, of what it means to be fair in this world. There is a message that's been carried on for almost 90 years now from the original animated classic. That is, fairness is what is within. Fairness is to do with your heart, the way you treat the people around you, and it has nothing to do with what you look like, and that's the misunderstanding between Snow White and the Evil Queen. I think it's such an important message, and the way that Disney has elevated it and brought it to this new audience is very special.
The backlash only intensified as more interview clips began to surface. While a few praised her comments as bold and progressive, many others saw them as condescending, out of touch, and dismissive of a timeless classic.